So welcome back to Hampton Downs for the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series for the 1 hour showdown out of lockdown. Joining us, Stu Owers, who's been out and about, of course, with the Pirelli Porsche Championship on hold at the moment, but getting your petrol head fixed by going up and down pit lane and politely having a chat bubble to bubble. Here we are in the media bubble, the commentary bubble, so that everyone has their own little bit of space. Contact tracing, as we've all done so far throughout the day. And mate, what a great sight to see these cars on the starting grid for the 1 hour showdown.
And look at the variety there. You know, a couple of factory race cars at the very front, but look, the doors open on that Ginetta there. Now that's an English, almost a kit car, I suppose, if you like. That particular car has got a 3.5 litre V6 naturally aspirated engine in it. So Peter Begley's driving that. He's normally known for running in the BMW series in the open class, but he's got problems with that, so he's going to start in that Ginetta, and it's the first drive of that yesterday for him, so he's still come to grips with it. A little minor off yesterday, there's a little black mark on the front of it, but that's a huge variety. You can see as we sweep back through the field, there's an RX-7 there from the boys in Hamilton, there's even a V8 Ute joining in. There's a
Brett Rudd there, the Scud, giving that a crack for the weekend as well, getting a bit more seat time.
Yeah, this is what this is all about. This is why this race is so popular. 30-something competitors, 32 competitors. You know, this is it's great seat time. There's only about 3 of them are going to share the car. So there's a compulsory pit stop for all cars, but it does mean that if you want to have a co-driver in there, you can. There's plenty of time to change drivers. So 3 cars are going to do that.
So when they have their compulsory pit stop, what does the driver who's not got another driver has to do?
As far as I know, they don't have to get out and run around the car and anything like this. They've just got to stop. But it does give there's plenty of time, though, to allow for the other competitors that do want to change. So it looks like they're just pushing Peter Begley there back into the grid position he's supposed to be in. He must have just overshot that a little. So they're going to roll him back there into the right spot. There they are. He's obviously supposed to be in grid position 19 by the looks of it. So they've sorted that. They're just checking. You can see the checklist there. So they're going to have a warm-up lap after this, and then we'll be underway.
John DeVeth teamed up with Glenn Smith last year, champions in the 3 hour showdown. Here he is in the 1 hour. It was very nice that Glenn Smith, his teammate and buddy, instead of racing in the Holden Commodore, it's a lot easier for John DeVeth to actually race this McLaren, mainly because he's just come off knee surgery back in July for both knees, and he was telling me that even in his Crawford, which he normally races, just the limited amount of movement he has with, if you can imagine having a knee operation, you've got a bit of swelling and stuff, but he can still hardly move his legs. But it's easier in the McLaren when he has to go from clutch to brake and then accelerate and that sort of jazz. So what a great effort, and straight away sticks it on pole and does a 1 minute, which is very, very quick around here.
Sensational. It really is. That's very fast. I mean, 102, 103 would have been a good time, let alone 1 minute. So sensational.
Well, I still think the fastest lap ever around here is a 59 second .3 done by his good teammate Glenn Smith when he pumped up that Porsche Crawford prototype to about 1,000 horsepower, the last race of a GTR and Z race a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but look, this is a much more of a road car, really. I suppose if you can call a GT3 a road car, much more biased that way compared to that 1,000 horsepower car. So here they go. This is a 1 lap warm-up lap now. So they're just going to try and get those tyres up to temperature. The BMW you can see on your screen there. That's a New Zealand built car. That started off as a road car. That's the Andrew Nugent car that is going to be co-driven by Simon Evans this time. He's coming to give him a hand, but it's a M3 V8, the previous model V8, and beautifully built car. Looks actually, when you go and see it, it looks brand new. It's all shiny. It's actually about 4 years old, so it's beautifully kept.
So this is the chance for the drivers to actually get rid of all their nerves, just sort of feel the car on the track again, get some heat into their tyres, and it'll be a different sort of display and a range of tyres too in manufacturers. And that's the great thing about this particular race, is that it's so many opportunities to go racing again and just get some seat time for 1 hour rather than being blocked.
Yeah, you're talking, obviously, most of the cars out here are, well, the majority of them are on Michelin, but Pirelli's in there as well. So it's personal preference. Michelin's one of the sponsors here today, but you can still run your Pirellis if that's what you prefer to do. So the big Pirelli trucks out there along with the Michelin one. So they're a little bit spread apart. They're just trying to get themselves a bit of room, get themselves... the big thing is with these cars is you don't want to be on a cool day like this taking off turn one with a big crowd on these slightly cool tyres. So here they come up now to the grid. Right, so the safety car is now waiting in the lane, and you can see if you look up the top right of the corner there, you can see the safety car light flashing on. So he's going to come out there and obviously lead these guys around. You see the Toyota Supra safety car there has just picked up our leader. So he's going to do another lap, obviously, to get these guys in line and warmed up. And he'll reduce that pace, and then, of course, safety lights will go out. He'll disappear into pit lane, and these guys will be in the hands of the first car. He controls the start.
So we've had the COVID lockdown, we've had the chance to go racing again, and here we are for the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series, that $100,000 Supra safety car out in front of the field, followed by a beautiful McLaren, and then Matt Whitaker, the current champion in the National 1 Hour Series, alongside him, the North Island Series. Timmy Edgell on that Super Tourer, so fantastic variety. That's what this series is all about.
Huge variety, yeah. Look at that. There's a V8 SsangYong Ute there. There's all sorts of different beasties there. So we'll be able to talk about those as they go through. You just see the triple rotor RX-7 going past there. That's a stunning car. Massive flames from the back of that. Andy Duffin's car.
So it's DeVeth, Whitaker, Edgell, Nugent, Callum Yetch, watch out for him. Andy Duffin, the 71 in the Mazda. Midgley, Fillmore, as they roll up to the control line to get that green flag and to go racing in the Golden Homes North Island 1 Hour Enduro. Great to have you here live streaming. Thanks to the team from Fast Files. It's time to go fast racing again. Head first, foot down into the first corner, and look at that. They're 1, 2, 3, 4 wide around the opening corner. Pirelli and DeVeth does a good job. Edgell having a quick look down the inside of Matty Whitaker.
Yeah, Matt Whitaker's probably got the least horsepower out of all those cars at the moment. That's that red Porsche 911. It's a cup car, so it's not particularly high horsepower. It's designed for one-mate racing. There's that BMW we're talking about, the home-built one. There's the RX-7 of Andy Duffin's mix there. Big lock-up from the Corvette. He's in trouble early on. Caught out, obviously his tyres up to temperature. And you just see going down through the Porsche dipper there, those two TA2s that you've been impressed with, Clint, the two Mustangs. That's the sort of new upcoming class that we're looking for. We'll talk about those a bit later when we get the race underway. But look at the lead already. That's a big lead from John DeVeth there.
Johnny DeVeth, he's out there in GTA. Matt Whitaker in GTB. You've got Shorty out there from Speedworks event and GTC. So the great thing about the North Island Endurance Series is the fact you've got so many classes. It gives so many different drivers a chance to actually come racing, get rid of all the cobwebs, unleash all their frustration from being locked down. Now they've got a showdown and they've all got a chance to go away as a winner.
Yeah, exactly. And there's different. Yes, we'll run through the different classes later on too. Of course, we're going to see. But at the moment, all the attention's on the first few cars. But you can see that the old V8 Super Tourer, they're really challenging that Porsche. It's got the straight line pace. But I think what we're going to see is it'll gradually drop back as it starts to use up its tyres a bit more. The Porsches are so much more balanced; they can sort of get away with maintaining a pace a lot better. So. Look at that, there's the Ute there is being chased by that little Seat. Well, that's a Cup car, a Seat Cup they used to run over in Europe, and there's a few of those in New Zealand now. Little turbocharged 4-cylinder car, about 350, 400 horsepower. Fast sort of fun car, sequential shift.
And spare a thought for Alan Sargent in number 7, who's driving that Seat. This is his first race. So he's bought that car via Highlands Motorsport Park. He's been a petrol head for many, many years. He's actually been over to that Bathurst 12-hour back in 2014. And you see that number 7 again, to see it. He can't believe it, but this is his first race, so what a way to go motor racing in the Golden Homes North Island Enduro.
Yeah, it's a bit of a baptism of fire, isn't it? That's for sure, getting chucked in with that many people.
Great to see Dean Perkins out there, straight out of the old Central Muscle Cars, the NZ Central Muscle Cars, mixing it up with drivers out of the Pirelli Porsche series, and there's Jeff Short from Speedworks Events, the man that's been working tirelessly to put this event on, along with Motorsport New Zealand, and being a really good top driver himself. He's just good to be behind the wheel and turn the mobile phone off for a moment, put the helmet on and put the foot down and go racing.
Yeah, look, and that car's relatively new to him. I know he was practicing it only a few weeks ago, but he hasn't done many races in that car, so he'll be getting to grips with that. He's in front of Steph Chambers there. He's got a bit of an older cup car, but she'll be consistent. She's done a lot of racing on these sort of events down the South Island as well, so she knows what she's doing out there. Hopefully the traffic is not too daunting for some of these people.
And if you say, for example, limited experience, because you've got a mix of top drivers like young Callum Yetch here. Watch out for him in that green and lime, that yellow and lime Porsche, because he's out of the South Island series. He's a young up-and-coming star with a fantastic team. So you've got really good drivers, and then you've got a guy having his first drive, because this used to be mainly an amateur event, but they've loosened the rules because of COVID-19 to attract more drivers to get those cars out of the sheds to go racing again. So that's going to be a real challenge, isn't it? Especially for the guys with less experience. You've really got to know about your mirrors and also the blue flags when there's a fast car approaching.
Yeah, look, and we saw that yesterday, didn't we, Clint? We had up till about 3 o'clock yesterday, when it was all supposed to be practice, it was raining. So there was a lot of co-drivers that were about to drive their car for the first time were standing around very anxious, not able to get a drive. So that it stopped raining about 3 o'clock. They got out, but a lot of nervousness, pacing around the sheds there, waiting to have their turn at driving.
So for a lot of these drivers today, as we take a look at that Ford Mustang, one of the first of these new TA2 Ford Mustangs, it's just an absolute relief that we've got cool, cloudy conditions today, and that's one more thing that they don't have to worry about.
Yeah, and that's Matt Gibson you can see there. Oh, sorry, no, that's John O'Lester. 819 is John O'Lester. He's obviously used to doing all the Japanese style, the GT cars overseas, the GT3s. So a little bit of a different formula for him, but he's delighted to be back racing. He's had quite a few months now, even maybe a year without any big championship racing going on. So he's stepped into this new class, and along with Matt Gibson, who's in an almost identical car, which is a few cars back, just to see how they go. But they look quite different when you see them in the pits, don't they, these Mustangs?
Ford Mustangs, run by the Corliss race team, and John O'Lester absolutely loves getting behind the wheel of this thing. It sounds awesome. 550 horsepower. It's got the 6-speed paddle shift, so it's high-tech. It's running on Hankook tyres this weekend, and huge. John was saying that it's so different to all the GT type cars that he's run before. It's not like jumping on a bike and being able to ride again. He's got to teach himself how to re-drive.
I bet, yeah, that's the thing. I bet all of these race cars are different. If you jump from, say, Matt Whitaker's red Porsche there to the Edgell, the Holden, they're all very different. You've got to adapt. But just as we were saying there before, it looks like the Edgell car just dropping back a bit. He's maybe decided not to pursue too hard, just to sort of maintain some grip in the tyres. That's really important. And already we're coming up to lap some of the first. So the first cars are starting to lap the slower cars at the back. So that didn't take long. It shows you the difference in speed we've got there. And look at that, Edgell having another look, trying to take the big wide line. Callum Hedge also trying to join into that battle at the front.
The loudest car out there is the mighty Mazda of Andy Duffin, so the people trackside will be really enjoying the sound of number 71. Here's Callum Yetch. He was very, very impressive in winning the South Island Porsche Series in that particular car, well backed by Ian McNabb and Todd Pickerton, giving this young star, he's won Formula Ford, he's won the 86s, he's jumped into the Sanyong Utes. You can go motor racing, but this kid is a motor racer.
Oh, he's good. He's very good. Now, one of the reasons they got him that car was so that he could get some time behind the wheel of one of these cars and get some practice in, because he was heading off to Australia and Asia and all that sort of thing.
And of course, Asia as well.
Yeah, and that's been frustrated, of course. So and we're just that's the thing to remember, that car went across to Australia to do the racing over there and had to be shipped all the way back again. So because they just couldn't do anything with it. So this is good seat time for him, getting used to those cars. But he's he's adapted incredibly quickly to it. He's a very very quick driver. But going back to, just see coming around turn 1 there, Andy Duff on the RX-7, the black car. That's actually the engineer that normally works on that car for him. Now that's Jason Lefting driving that. He's the first up in that car. And Jason Lefting's got a really interesting background. Started in Formula Fords, then went all the way through single seasons. He actually raced Formula Holden at a very high level. About the same time Greg Murphy was racing Formula Holdens. Remember those back in the 90s now. Then he built himself an incredibly fast Subaru that used to be seen around the GT racing. So he's helping out. Remember last year, Clint, looking down from the commentary box, we saw Andy Duffin finished second in this 1 hour race last year.
Very exciting race it was too.
Yeah, but remember looking down, he collapsed as he got out of the car from the heat exhaust, and he was just sitting on the ground. He was quite distressed. So they've done a lot of work with that RX-7. They've put some sandwich style floorboards in there, if you like, to try and keep the heat out of it. But the rotary engines generate massive heat. You see the flames shooting out the back. They run a lot hotter, the exhaust, than a standard piston engine, if you like. So it's a bigger job to do that.
Beautiful 650S McLaren. And geez, they're a great side, aren't they? Just a cool looking piece of machinery. Fantastic name when you think of the history that McLaren has been involved in and the heritage of New Zealand motorsport. It's just great to see them out here racing.
Yeah, great road cars as well. Fantastic things now. Massive horsepower in those 4-litre twin turbo V8s. And the thing is, that's a GT3 car that was originally owned by Tony, the guy that owns this racetrack. But now, under the rules here for the North Island series, you can modify these cars. So you can turn the boost up, you can do all sorts of things in these cars. And I think they've had a little bit of a fiddle with it.
So there's the Back to the Future there. There's a former champ in the B&T V8s and the Nissan Altima, and Nick Ross, and right behind him it's either Matty Gibson or it's I think it is Matt Gibson chasing him down in what could be the future for the B&T V8s with the TA2 platform coming out of Asia, or John O'Lester. So that big Ford Mustang having a real good battle against this Nissan Altima, and we'll check their lap times to see how they're going in relation to speed, because that's going to be one of the key things moving forward for that particular class. John O'Lester doing a 106.6, Nick Ross a 109.4. So that's the battle between 9 and 10 at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The tyres, you can't see it there. Well, you can sort of see it. They've almost got NASCAR-style wheels on those.
It just looks like a big, not so much like a NASCAR, but more like the old-style American stock.
Yes, yeah, that's it. That's it. They do, but the wheel tyre combination, you see, is quite different to Nick Ross's car there. He's got the sort of current. Oh, look at that down inside Porsche Dipper.
He's going to send it and get it done. John O'Lester regains P9 from Nick Ross, and I think these two guys, Jono was really excited about being able to go racing again, and he's just looking forward to it. Two cars have turned around. There we've got the yellow on that the Dale ITM sweeper, and a bit of drama there because two of them are actually facing the wrong way.
All right, so that's yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether.
So lap 9, and it's Steph Chambers and number 17.
That's the boys from Hamilton, I think, and their RX-7. And that's the big sweeper that comes up to the front straight. So obviously somebody's been nudged in there. Look at that. That's a nice flick turn. That was,
so
the
RX Master's away. Now it's just Steph.
So Steph looks like she stalled that. It's sometimes when they're hot, they're a bit tricky to get started. So she'll be sitting there sweating under that helmet, wondering how she can get that going. So if she doesn't get it going in a minute, they'll give her a few more seconds. They'll whip out there and recover her.
Number number 171, Andrew Erith, in the other Mazda RX-7.
She's going to go. She moved forward a bit there, so let's hope we can extract that, because it's going to cause mayhem out there for the safety car. Obviously, it's nice to get a good clean racer. It's strange. She moved forward. It's almost like she can't get reverse gear or something. That's a bit odd.
So will we get a safety car in the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series? After 11 laps, double yellow around the sweeper at the moment, so all the drivers will know that they've got to be cautious going into that as Johnny DeVeth works his way back up through the field.
Quite an important corner, that one. Of course, that one leads up to the main straight, so obviously the two
Pit
Mustangs,
lane is open.
Yeah, they must have anticipated a safety car, I would say. So, but it hasn't happened. But they thought, right, we'll get in and get. That's a fairly early stop, really, isn't it?
So he is having to get out and run around the car.
Ah, okay. Well,
so
these
there you
guys.
go. There's a classic example of what they've got to do.
Right.
When you're a sole driver and you have the compulsory pit stop. So the pit lane window is now open. So if you are a sole driver like John O'Lester and Matty Gibson, you get out, you run around the car, and get back in. Only 3 teams. There's John DeVeth. Well, he won't be getting out running around, will he?
With be hobbling around.
He will get out to sort of take the walker.
Yeah, and we also saw up in front there of the pit lane Andrew Nugent jumping in, Simon Evans leaping out for that. But obviously they pulled the trigger maybe just a fraction early on that, thinking there would be a pace car out, and of course it hasn't. So sure what's happening to that car at the moment. So of course we've still got him on the charts as leading, but he's in the pit. So because he was ahead of some cars, he'd already lapped some cars. But and now we can see some rain coming down, Clint. You can see it in our cameras there. So that's going to make things interesting for these guys. There might be some more stops coming up shortly.
I think for Johnny, instead of having to get out, run around, he probably would have been held for a certain time period.
That must have been a special arrangement that they made for him, a longer stop possibly, which makes sense, doesn't it?
We may confirm that with Adam Jones when he goes up and down pit lane just to see what's happening there. Because we've got one guy get out and leap around. And on the right-hand side of your corner, you the shot here, you've got Bruce Anderson driving that Ford Falcon for the first time.
Yeah, well, Bruce is no stranger to horsepower and V8s, and that's something, of course, done a lot of racing over
From
the years.
the NZ Central Muscle Car, so he knows all
Yeah,
about those.
yeah. So there we go, John DeVeth back out again, just catching up. He's going to drop him behind Struan Robertson there in that multicoloured Porsche there, Porsche 911. And in front of them is that Janetta that we were talking about before. That's Peter Bigley's running. There's the RX-7 showing those flames that we've talked about before. You wouldn't want to be too close to that. You get all your sign writing melted off the front of that. Okay, so our leader coming around now is Tim Edgell, followed by Matt Whitaker. So the Ssangyong Ute is just sandwiched in there in between them. That's a V8 Ssangyong Ute that's been specially built. But Tim Edgell is going to be leading it. Here's one of the Mustangs back into the pits for some reason. We're not sure which one that is, but there must be a little issue. Either that or they're going to go to wet tyres possibly. No. I've lifted it up. Just see what we're going to do to that. Because they've already been in once, haven't they, Clint? So we're not sure what's happening there.
Sounds out there. Willie Harris, Papatoe, one of the pit lane officials. Great shot there of Dean Perkins having a crack with some of the other guys like Timmy Edgell working his way through. He hasn't been in the car for about almost a year. Once a year he sort of gets that one out of the shed, and Randall and the boys go to work and they get that old Super Tourer really pumped up, doing a great job, and looking forward to it. Timmy Edgell as well. So Andrew Nugent in front, along with Patrick.
And they were in the pits, of course. The Andrew Nugent car, he swapped over. It's Simon Evans driving it now, so he's going to get stuck in it. He's got the difficult task of going out in slicks in the wet, so that's going to be interesting. See who dives into the. But actually, this wasn't even forecast, was it? Oh, that was close.
Almost contact there, and I think it's Steph Chambers.
Yeah, they're pushing it, so that's not a good sign. Something's been damaged as it got turned around. There's no marks on the car, but actually, if their marks would be on the other side, they can think of it. So.
Teacher out of Westlake is going to get out of the car and unfortunately may not be able to finish the 1 hour. Great battle here at the moment.
So there's our first and second. Tim Edgell, Matt Whitaker behind him.
He's the 1 hour champion. And he's going to have a look down the inside, send it around the Porsche dipper, and what a good place for the Porsche to make the pass, right in the middle of the dipper.
A couple of big black marks behind the Porsche there, a couple of 11s as it lit it up, as it went tight around there than it really wanted to.
So 14 laps into the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series, and already the front cars are starting to work their way through the rest of the field, because now everything, that one's not looking that good.
That's the Mustang, I think it was in the pits. There's obviously issues there, but
you've got traffic now, haven't you?
Yes, but did you notice
lane stops? Everyone's all over the place.
Yeah, so this is luckily we've got electronic timing here, otherwise we wouldn't have a clue what was going on, would we? But it was interesting that Matt Whitaker got right beside that big Commodore on the exit of Porsche Dipper. Oh, that's the John O'Lester car, the 819. So that's a shame. We wanted to see how that was going to go, didn't we? So he's obviously got difficulties. Early stage in development in that car, of course.
And John O'Lester too, also going to be racing an Audi with an LS7 Chevy motor in the 3-hour race. So
yeah, looking forward to seeing that. So still Edgell out the front. Matt Whitaker really challenging hard. Look at that. Now he's going to try and do the same thing. But the Commodore's just got that big Chev power, just out drags it down that important straight down into the big sweeper at the end there. So we've still got Simon Evans there hanging in. You show here how competitive he is in that car. When it was wet yesterday, he was seriously quick, Simon Evans, in that BMW V8. He really had that cranked up. So John O'Lester being pushed back into the pits. That's so disappointing for him. He'd be gutted after waiting so long to have a race.
And he's just down the road at Karaka, and the race hasn't turned out to be a Karaka, has it? It's just, it's more frustration. And for a guy who's been sitting around waiting in quarantine, it feels like quarantine at home. You finally go motor racing and it conks out.
Oh, Matt Whitaker trying to get, that's James Kirkpatrick there, and that looks like an international colour. That's the same sort of factory colours on that Porsche, that white Porsche with the motor badge on the back there. That's James Kirkpatrick. Matt Whitaker just slipping past him, still trying to attack the back of that Commodore. Good on him. This is a tight race.
Just going past the 777 BMW of Bob Severide. So all spread out now. Track conditions are still good, a little bit slippy, but at least that rain is not steady. It just turned out to be a passing shower.
Yeah, good old forecast again. It wasn't supposed to rain at all, was it?
Oh no, it's New Zealand, mate. It's variable.
Mind you, that's an Auckland forecast. We're definitely not in Auckland, are we?
We're sort of on the border between Auckland and Waikato. So it's going to be changeable. That's definitely part of it. At least it's not hot. Like we had one of those days in the middle of summer, it got up to around about 50, 60 degrees on the track. And one year it actually started to melt.
Yeah, that's really getting up there, isn't it? So there's Callum Yetch. You can see in our shot there, he's in 4th place now. But he just moved up to 3rd. So Andy Duffin was
Jason
3rd
behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Then Mazda.
So this is going to be interesting to see what happens here. No, that's actually Andy Duffin now. Jason Lifting was in it before.
So Andy's jumped in now. So he's going
that's Andy. Oh, look at that, lighting it up, coming out.
That Brett Rudd, number 99 there, the Scud just got out of the way. So a lot of these motor racing drivers from other classes coming out of the GTs, coming out of the V8s or 86s, very much aware of the space and giving each other, especially the fast drivers who may be on a charge, room to move.
Yeah, they know their cars, they're aware of what's going on all around them. I mean, if you're racing V8 utes, you've got to be very aware of what's going on around you. So good on them for that. So Callum Yetch, followed by the Duffin car. That's a work of art, that Duffin car. You watch, we might see it as he gets off the gas. You look at the flame will shoot out. Look at that, massive flames out the back. One of the reasons why it's so hot. There's a bit of spray or smoke coming up there. I wasn't sure what that was. It could be a wee bit of spray going down through there because it's just damp enough, isn't it?
Isn't that a great display of why this North Island Endurance Series is such a great race for the race teams and for the drivers? There's a beautiful Porsche GT3 Cup car being hounded by a roaring rotary in the mighty Mazda with the big flames in the wing.
And look at its factory German race car versus home-built RX-7. Triple rotor, all done by hand. In fact, that the aerodynamics were even done by a New Zealand aerodynamic expert. Engineered by Jason Lifting later on after he developed it and developed and developed, and look how quick it is.
One of the great things and the bad things about New Zealand motorsport is that can-do Kiwi attitude, creating stuff in the shed, but then it makes it very hard when you've got a really cool car, you've done all those extra bits, when you want to try and get a class of similar cars that are equal racing, like say your GT3 Cup car, the old Kiwi boys will have done all these modifications. What I want to take them off again.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the reality is possibly owes him about as much as the German car he's chasing as well, you know, which is quite often the case. But he's done it himself, and it's unique. There's no other RX-7 just like that. So that's the cool thing about that. Dean Perkins still moving it around. That's the old style there, a little bit of oversteer as he comes out of turn 1 there. It's very, very easy. You can see one of the cars that are running off. It's very easy to run into the grass there. It's a very fast corner. You've got to get that exit. There's Matt Gibson in the TA2, still running, followed by that little Janetta we were talking about before.
It's great that, well, see, both the Mustangs are out there, which is great because Matt Gibson, you know, the man who runs Hampton Downs here at the moment, which is great. And John O'Lester looks like whatever the gremlins were, they've got that mighty Mustang back out on the field and racing again, which is great. Shorty coming out of the hairpin and really settling in nicely in the 997 GT3 car, Porsche.
So the placings are all mixed up, of course. At the moment, Matt Gibson and the 818 Mustang, that's two identical cars, that's why we're getting a little bit confused, but he's in 24th place, but he's done his pit stop. So there's a lot of these other cars, of course, out there haven't done their pit stops yet, so they may be just holding off to see if it rains and see if they need to come in and get that. That's Matt Gibson we're looking at, the 818, so he's just coming around now. He knows this track like the back of his hand, of course. He does hot lap rides and things here for Hampton Downs, knows it very well, doesn't know the car incredibly well though, so that's the difference. I think it was one of his first drives in this car last week, still new to him. So he'll start floating up as everybody else comes into the minutes.
So 20 laps gone in the 1 hour. And we've been racing around about 20 minutes, so circulating around about that, just over a minute per lap.
Yeah, 24 minutes. We've got 33 minutes to go, so nearly halfway. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to come in near the end and who's going to stop halfway. But the pits are empty at the moment.
John Midgley done a lot of racing in the NZ Central Muscle Cars, GDNZ, in 5th at the moment. So Perkins, Cooper, Strawn Robertson, Peter Beguli, Wade Stevenson, Alan Sargent up to 22 in his first race, did a good job. Shorty's 23 in the GTC Class C Porsche. Matt Gibson 24th at the moment. And we get all the field doing their compulsory pit stop and then bring it home to the finish.
That rain is held off, and you see grey skies there, but dry now, which will be a big relief for everybody. A lot of these cars, in fact, we're talking to yesterday, haven't even got wet tyres, so they just knew it was going to be dry. Well, the forecast was dry. So Callum Yetch still being pursued by that RX-7. I think the RX-7's got a little bit of extra speed, but probably the Porsche, no doubt, will be better. On brakes, there's a black flag being held up there, and we can't quite read what's going on, but can't even see the number. But 171, let's have a look, see who that is.
171 is Andrew Erith.
That's the...
in the Mazda RX-7.
Yeah.
I think he may have got a drive-through penalty for contact with Steph Chambers, which is what would have happened around the Dale Line TM sweeper, perhaps.
Yes.
Just a bit of contact and turned her around, and her race is over.
Doesn't take much there because you're loaded up. It's a big, long corner. You're loaded up for a long time. Just a little tap on the 3/4 and around you go. So that's possibly what happened there. Jeff Short just going through our picture there, the promoter here, followed by another one of the Mustangs. That Janetta's doing well, still hanging on there behind that Mustang. So John DeVeth is starting to work his way back up. He's now back up into 7th place. There he is there. After his stop, so he'll float up a lot higher than that, of course, once the few people in front of him must do their stop. So he'll start right going up, but he's still working his way back through.
Coming right up behind the Ford Mustang, so there's the beautiful black and white McLaren. John DeVeth behind the wheel. And like so many people, had to put the old overseas holiday on hold for possibly 2 years. I mean, we were supposed to be in England in April, and other people were he was supposed to be in India. So he said, put the money back into the motor racing car again.
So John DeVere still the fastest car out there. So he's done a 103. Matt Whitaker is quite a gap behind him. He's the next fastest car. He's on his fastest is a 105. But Tim Edgell, as we've been watching all day, is almost on the same sort of pace, just a quarter of a second behind that. And then Callum Yetch. So that's your top 4 fastest. And then that little New Zealand built BMW M3 of Andrew Newton and Simon Evans are the 5th fastest. And these cars are all on the 105, all the same sort of around that 105. Andy Duffin, 105, John Midgley on 105. Huge number of cars. So what's that, 5 cars, 6 cars all on 105s. So very, very competitive. And then the Sam Fillmore, Andrew Fawcett car, that's 106s. John O'Lester, just to give you an idea, in that Mustang, he's 106s as well. So it's only about a second slower. So that's just lap times, not position.
And if you go through the top 11 and looking at the classes, John DeVere leading GTA, that's currently in 1st. Matt Whitaker in 2nd, leading GTB.
It's just times. Hang on, I'll switch over to positions. There we go. So that's the actual race position now.
So it's Tim Edgell, GTB leader. Matt Whitaker, good battle there. Callum Yetch in Class 1. Good battle with Andy Duffin and Jason Lapp, who is in GDA. It's John DeVere leading GDA. And James Kirkpatrick leading GTC at the moment. So plenty of opportunities for all the different drivers and different classes to try and pick up a class win in the Golden Homes North Island 1 hour enduro live streaming. Thanks to the team from Adam Jones and Fast Files.
So out of that top, those guys you read out there, so John DeVere's in 7th, but of course I don't think we've seen Callum Yetch into the pits yet. So
Dean Perkins in the pits.
So those times are going to be shuffled around because we've still got 28 minutes to go. So we're really only just over halfway.
So he turned his NZ Central muscle car, he put on a different set of tyres, put in a bigger fuel tank to make it last the distance, go the distance. And as he says, just muscle his car away around the track because that's how he drives it. Great character, great driver, Dean Perkins. Been in that car sideways a few times, it's fantastic. Bad sign there for Shorty, just coming into the pits.
Yeah.
Take out into a pit stop and you don't want to go into the garage.
Yeah, that's unusual. I'm not sure. I mean, it's unusual for one of those factory Porsches. Oh yes, he's right in the garage, so that looks terminal, doesn't it?
So back out on track, the Mustang and Whitaker. Whitaker going around the outside, coming around the Pirelli turn 1 as Dean Perkins comes out of the pit lane exit and joins the battle going down to turn 2, and they roll up and over. Turn 3, a little bit of, well, he avoided contact there.
That's Matt Gibson, and they look the same, but he's 818, Matt Gibson, so that's the track manager.
Oh, a little bit twitchy. and the new muscle car gives way for the old muscle car. He out-muscled himself.
A little bit too much rear brake bias there by the looks of it.
And that'll be the reason why this event will be so good for so many drivers and different cars, is to be actually get them out of the shed and actually be able to go racing for about an hour, along with all your practice and your qualifying, just to get your setup right, just to actually tweak a few things and try a few things.
Well, we've only got a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or so, haven't we, until the next round at Pukekohe. So good practice. But there's Steph Chambers being passed by these two, so she's obviously put whatever mechanical issues behind her, and she's now back on the track. That's Jeff Short. Not sure what was happening in there, but he's back out again. Still got the slicks on, so he obviously wasn't changing to wets. It's certainly not that wet. Interesting, isn't it? Because those cars are so strong, you very, very rarely ever see them have any mechanical issues at all.
One of the great things about racing under COVID conditions here, we've got a double yellow down again by the sweeper, and we'll see what's happened there as Anderson goes passing by, and looks like one of the cars has gone towards the fence on the far side around the Dale ITM sweeper, so he'll be caught in the trap there, 98. It's the Andrew Nugent Simon Evans car.
Look, he's just getting himself out. There we go.
So if that's Simon Evans behind the wheel, he's fresh from winning the E-Series Championship with Jaguar.
Yes.
He's done 2 weeks of quarantine, which he said was okay, and here he is back behind the wheel again and having a lot of fun. So what a year it's been for him. Picks up an international championship and then nowhere to race except for let's go back home.
He's coming into the pits, so I don't know whether he's doesn't look like it's gone down at the back yet. But unusual for him to make a mistake like that. He's what we always say is a safe pair of hands behind the wheel. He really is. He can.
Well, from Dad Owen, land speed record holder, to Mitch, racing and TRS champion, and into Formula E, and then of course to Simon, an E-Series champion. They are born to bred and to go motor racing. Fantastic family, so they know how to put their foot to the floor. Now, also joining us this morning, he's been up since 6:30, and as we were talking a bit about before, one of the great things about going racing again is the fact that you've got marshals, you've got volunteers from all the various car clubs, so thank you very much to all of them. One of the guys who actually put me through the gate today was David Weir. He's actually knows a lot about motor racing here at Hampton Downs, because tell us about your job, David, besides letting people through at the gate at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, well, I'm the other pro driver with Matt Gibson, and we do all the instruction work here for the GT members, and we do everything else that goes along with the race circuit as well.
So you're one of the driving instructors, so you take people around the track here at Hampton Downs and a variety of cars?
Yes, we do all that. We give tips for people that want to improve their race skills, and all the GT members, there's a lot of them here today racing. They've all taken advantage of their skills, and I've raced all over Europe, and it's helped them because I can relay what I've learned over Europe, and it works well.
And what do you think of this event, the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series?
The whole event is an amazing event, and the Endurance Series is even better, because I only raced endurance for the last 10 years of my career, and it's far better than doing a sprint race. And the way that it's been organised today is absolutely amazing. It's another good showpiece for Hampton Downs, which is a superb facility.
It certainly is, and of course with the backing of Mr. Quinn, Highlands Motorsport Park, we've got two excellent facilities, North Island and South Island. Okay, what's the key to being really good at endurance racing? It's different. Oh, there's drama there with number 8, Tim Edgell. And there was also a bit of drama. We were just about to say, what's the key to having a really good lap around here at Hampton Downs and not doing what Timmy's done?
You've just got to be smooth and consistent, especially in an endurance race. You set yourself a time and just keep to that time and just do it lap after lap after lap. And you'll find that's far better than doing one quick lap and 3 slow laps. Just a consistent, smooth lap around the circuit.
So what do you think? There's something looks like it may have broken there, Stu. Do you think something may have broken or not?
Yeah, it's parked on the entry to the corner.
Because it's not the normal place to park your car if you've got a problem, is it?
Well, no, definitely. And
so
it's
something
also
looks like it's gone.
Yeah, it's not as though he's slid off. I mean, you don't slide off in that position. So yes,
because it's the way it's actually parked right by the apex of the sweeper, which is perhaps the most, outside of turn 1, it's probably the most important corner on the track, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. Here we got another pit stop. Is that, you call that a run or a lumber?
Well, you can jog around the car. You can stroll around the car because it takes a bit of time to refuel. Then you've got to redo your belts. Did you actually do that overseas in another form of endurance race? It probably started Le Mans, didn't it?
Yeah, we did. We used to have to walk around the car.
Right.
When we had our pit stop, walk around the car. Or run round it.
He was trying to help his driver. Here's the sprint by Matty. He's had a peanut slab, isn't he? I mean, he's powered up. That's the Choco Rush. He's had a Choco Rush. Matt Whitaker from Whitaker's, of course. So what's the key to a fast lap around Hampton Downs then? I mean, like you talk about in an endurance race, it's all about, funny you say that about setting a time. Alan Sargent, first race, he wanted to do a 1:10 qualifying, and at race pace, he just wanted to do a 1:13. So lap after lap, corner after corner.
That's right, because if you go 1:10 every lap, you'll break the car. So what you've got to be is consistent at your lap time that you know you're going to achieve a result. That is, and around Hampton Downs, I've driven this circuit a lot now, and smoothness is the key here. Don't be aggressive with the car, just be smooth, and you'll achieve a good lap time.
Now, Stu and I, we've been commentating here for quite a few years, and of all the tracks we go to, this has got, it's got hills, it's got undulations, it's got changes in the cornering. So, is it more like a European track? We tend to say that. I'm not sure.
Yes, it is. It's very much like Brands Hatch. You've got undulations, and at Alton Park as well, you've got a lot of undulations, and you've got fast-flowing corners as well. It's a mixture of both, and this they've got the balance just about right here. It's amazing.
What's your favourite corner around here?
I like turn 10. You can put the power down on turn 10.
That's the sweeper?
This is the sweeper where he's just broken down.
Okay.
You can get the car set up through there, and you can get a good exit.
So the Dale ITM sweeper. What's the corner that you're most weary of? Where it could potentially
I'm
go
not
wrong?
really.
Because you're so good.
I don't mind. I don't mind. There's nothing here that really you sort of think, that's dodgy, but no, it's fine. I managed to do, quite a good lap around the other, and I'm happy with every corner. I don't get phased by any corner. But I'm quite fortunate. I've raced at Spa, and I've raced at Paul Ricard. And Spa's got twisty turns, and it's got sweepers as well. So, it's a bit of a mixture of both.
Good to see the team with the Mega rental cars there. The Porsche. James Kirkpatrick getting out. He's going to do that jog around. Let the team do their stuff. And then get back in the car and keep circulating. So what's the rest of the plan for these GT drivers, the GT members? What's the most important thing you teach them in regards to doing endurance racing? Because that's what Stu does as well, being a driving instructor.
As I said, and Stu will back me up, it just get them to get consistent and not be aggressive with the car. And if they're smooth and consistent, they'll achieve good times and they'll achieve a good result. And endurance racing is all about being consistent. It's not a 10-lap sprint. You don't have to go out the gun, mad. You just be consistent, and they will, get the results they want.
And that's why even in the top forms of motorsport, it's all about looking after the car, looking after the tyre life, and making sure that you know what you're doing rather than just trying to go hard and fast.
Exactly, exactly right. Look after your car, and the car will look after you.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, mate, and giving us an insight into racing here at Hampton Downs. Are you enjoying life in New Zealand, coming all the way from England?
It's amazing, and this facility here is amazing, and I love the place, and I love working here, and it's and they do the best thing they can for motorsport.
So if you need to get some instructions here at Hampton Downs, Matt Gibson on the track and David Weir on the gate, and cruising around are the two guys to come and see, and they'll give you that real happy time at Hampton Downs with a motor racing experience. Be great for Christmas, wouldn't it? Be a great thing for Christmas presents or birthday presents. So thanks very much for taking time out. So there he was on the gate at 6 o'clock this morning.
In the cold.
In the cold.
Yep.
So that's the definition of being a petrolhead, loving the passion. Real drama here, and a shame for Timmy Edgell.
Yeah, it is a shame because he was definitely a front runner. He was in with a chance, wasn't he? And that's gone out the window. We're showing now the lead is sort of refreshed. We've got John DeBeth now back in the lead, Matt Whitaker second, John Minchley third. So Callum Yetch is fourth, but I think Callum is slightly out of sequence here, so we'll just see what happens when that all refreshes next time round. But the safety car obviously hasn't, it's got the Mazda behind it, but that is in fifth position, so they're slightly out of position on the track, but that'll refresh again very, very soon.
So a chance for everyone just to sort of reset before they reboot, just to sort of see exactly where they are, how long to go, just take a bit of a sort of a deep breath.
Yeah, I always like the safety cars unless it's disadvantaging you somehow, because you get a chance to just relax, have a drink. If you've got the drink in the car, just have a look around and talk to your crew, and just get a bit of air on you. It's great.
Talking to the crew can be quite hard, because John O'Leslie said that Mustang is so loud he even struggles to hear the crew chief talking again as we get the green flag and we go back racing again in the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series, the 1 hour race, and we're basically racing down to the finish now.
16 minutes to go now, so
Timmy Edgell is all smiles despite him and Randall having an issue there with the car, so great disappointment. He was looking forward to getting back behind the wheel, so we'll find out exactly what went wrong there.
So Andy Duffin has got a little bit of a battle cut out there. He's going to try and get up to Callum Yetch again. Callum Yetch is just ahead of him, so Callum's going to have to work his way back. You see right in the background there, you can see that bright yellow Porsche, and here comes John DeVeth now. He's going to probably put a lap on that Mazda. So It's going to be, he's going to unwind everything and put. There's Matt Whitaker in the red car coming through, so he's shown in second place. So always confusing if you're just sitting up on the back in the old days when you had no timing monitors or no cell phones to look at as to what was going on in a situation like this.
Race monitor very, very handy when you go trackside. So it's Johnny DeVeth, the 105.6, his last lap, his best time a 103. He's still out in front. Whitaker, Edgell, Hedge, Nugent, Duffin, Midgley, Fillmore, Lester, Gibson. Those are the fastest laps. So 103 is the best, and the Mustang's doing the 107. But out in front at the moment, it's Johnny DeVeth, followed by Matt Whitaker. John Midgley has worked his way up to third overall, then Hedge in fourth. That's 747 there. They've been flying nowhere at the moment, but at least this particular 747 is flying as they come around the Porsche dipper for Matt Whitaker. Andy Duffin and Jason Lefting in fifth. Dick Ross is up to sixth. Bob Sebright, 777 in seventh. James Kirkpatrick after that pit stop, he's currently eighth. Then Lachlan Fitzgerald-Symes, Fillmore and Co. in top 10 at the moment. Bruce Anderson doing all right in the Ford. Around about 11th at the moment.
So you've mentioned John Midgley. That's one car we haven't actually seen on our cameras much. It's a V8 Super Tourer. It's probably a little bit more modified now. Most of them are. You can just see him coming up there. So that's something we haven't seen much of. There he goes. So that's a very clean looking car. Not really much sign writing on that. So there's not many other sponsors paying the bills on that one.
Yeah, the old GTB Ford Falcon FG Super Tourer. And he's been circulating in pretty good times too. Done a best time of 105.8.
Yeah, well, that's that very competitive bracket, isn't it? There's about 5 or 6 cars doing
side by side the two Mustangs, and currently it's where are they at the moment? Matty Gibson 14, and the fastest of those ones at the moment is there's John O'Lester and Matt Gibson. John O's done a 106.2 and Matt Gibson a 107.6.
Yeah, and that's where Matt's thought he would be. He thought he might be just a little bit off what John O can do. He just hasn't had that race experience in those cars much, whereas John O's a little bit more used to that. There we go.
Like Jeff Short's got that Speedworks Porsche back out on the track.
Yeah, so it can't have been too much of a problem, but not much of an issue.
So there's Midgley in the Super Tourer, and there's the TA2 Mustang. So another great chance to compare. Dean Perkins charging around.
A lot of V8 power there. Nick Ross, of course, V8 powered Nissan. He's done a lot of racing in that car, obviously, as well, and is well experienced.
Callum Yetch, 15.7 seconds down in fourth place at the moment. Chasing down John Midgley, who's in front by about 4 seconds, and then it's John DeVeth who's got a lead of 6.4 seconds over Matty Whitaker.
Callum Hedge is going to have his work cut out there. He's only about sort of a quarter of a second faster per lap, so and he's got about 6 seconds to catch up, so he's going to be struggling to get up any further than that unless something happens to John actually. Obviously the pit stops there have sort of played their part in reshuffling this group. Two Mustangs sort of circulating still in similar sort of times. But Callum Yetch, as we said before, quite a talent and getting really to grips with this car very fast. And that's a cup car though, so that's not one of the GT3 category Porsches. It's still just a cup car, still complies with all the cup car rules. So no ABS, no traction control, which is part of the cup car series to try and even these cars out, keep them all the same.
Golden Homes, North Island Endurance Series, 39 laps gone, 11 minutes to go. Man out in front, John DeVeth, one of the pre-race favourites in that beautiful McLaren. And he's doing a good job at the moment, smooth and fast, making sure that he's making the most of that advantage with that beautiful machinery. Matty Whitaker, currently in second spot. Midgley third, Callum Hedge, Duffin, Ross, Sebright, Kirkpatrick, Lachlan Fitzgerald-Symes, and then Fillmore in 10th place, and Andrew Fawcett as well.
Yeah, they were sharing the car. So at the
top 10.
moment, it's Andrew Fawcett and Sam Fillmore drove first. So Matt Whitaker, just to give you an idea, John DeVeth is sort of circulating in 103s, 104s, where Matt Whitaker is doing 105. So, you know, he's just a second behind, but that makes quite a difference.
Good move there by Bob Sebright on the 777 BMW GTR, making a move on Dean Perkins.
It's just one of the amazing places. I just saw in that one of those shots, a lot of smoke in the background. That's the drifters working on the track. You can just see it behind the Golden Home sign there. The drifters just chucking it around, just got a quick glimpse of it there. So that's running at the same time as this event can go on, which is how they design new circuits. So two completely separate events, both happening at the same time. So that's what all the smoke's drifting across. And of course, you know, you can keep everybody COVID separated, so even though you've got a lot of people here, they're completely separate.
And the good thing is, even the dust is physical distancing. Thanks to the southwesterly wind. But these guys doing a really good job of their own form of contact tracing, avoiding contact, which is what you want to do in a motor racing event like the 132 Cooper Mobile, saving the Wild, the Rhino, from the Sangyong Utes.
Well, considering that we've got over 30 cars out there, we've had one little contact, haven't we? That was between the RX-7 and the Porsche and the big sweeper at turn 10. Apart from that, it's been very, very clean, hasn't it?
Yeah, that was around about lap 10 too, so around about 30 laps ago. So Bruce Anderson really enjoying the AV8 Motorsport Ford Falcon behind it.
So that car there, you can see, started off as a Sangyong Rhino Ute with the Mercedes 4-cylinder engine in it, petrol engine. It's now got a Chevy V8 in there, and lowered right down, and it's pretty quick. It's a bit of a handful. That's the
Dion Cooper.
Yeah, Dion and his son are running around in that and having a great time in there. It'd be a hoot to drive, wouldn't it? That much power.
And that Sangyong Racing Series has been a lot of fun, developing a lot of drivers like Mark Mallard and the likes of Alexandra Whitley's had a crack at that, and Callum Yetch and Peter Vodanovic have all had a go, and there they are moving on to being champions of the 86s and Formula Fords, and so you're getting out of one class into another class. And the great thing about this particular thing is it gives everyone a chance to actually go motor racing and continue doing what they want to do.
Yeah, and that's about the kick-off again. The first round of that is October the 5th at Pukekohe. But now we've got John DeVeth back up there on the screen, and he's leading, and his last lap was a 104, so he just eased that pace off. He's a long way in front, so he obviously doesn't need to push super hard. I'm just wondering how those knees are holding up in there. Must be starting to be painful now after, well, there's only 7 minutes to go, so nearly an hour in the car. Must be pretty tough. He's longer than that. He had the warm-up sessions, all that sort of thing. You can see more smoke drifting across the grass there from the drift track. Just putting a nice, consistent 104. So, I mean, he's come on, hasn't he? He's matured as a driver. The fact that he can go out there and just bang out absolutely consistent laps. High G-forces in that car, of course, especially going to the corner. He's just gone into now turn 10. Big G-forces around there.
I think the work they did with Chris Vanderdrift last year, who's teaming up with Glenn Smith, is certainly, you know what it's like. You get behind the wheel of a really cool car with a really top driver, and if you could pass on, do this, do that, try this at this particular corner, and it just opens up their eyes about the trust factor and the confidence factor of what is possible in these cars when you let yourself sort of believe that you can actually do it. And I think guys like Johnny DeVeth have certainly benefited from that. And as a driving instructor, you'd be involved in helping guys all the time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, look, guys like that, it's only little things that you're pointing out, you know, because it's not as though you have to start from scratch. It's just little things that they're doing usually that make all add up to quite a difference. And it's also a little bit of car setup as well, but mostly the biggest improvements are with the driver. Rather than putting another 50 grand into more horsepower, you can actually get the driver to go 2 seconds a lap faster sometimes. So.
There you see the drifting in the background. Actually, on the way out, I saw one of the cars coming out here, right? And on the back of the trailer, it had the sign, "Don't worry, I've been practicing on Xbox."
It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, but when you crash on Xbox, you just pick up and go. You don't.
You press reset.
One of those, You know, it's a different way of pressing reset. But it just made me laugh because I wonder how many drivers have actually relied on simulated racing over the last 4 or 5 months under lockdown. You know, everything's been this and that, but it's all been simulation and not actual real racing.
Well, you mentioned that the Sanyong Utes were out practicing at Pukekohe last weekend. There's a young guy there who's brand new to it, never really done any motor racing before. All his experience is on Xbox or simulators, and he's just straight into it, straight onto the pace.
But at least that simulation has given a lot of drivers a chance to actually get used to that track before they actually go racing. As Callum Yetch has a look down the inside, going up around turn 2 and 3, up and over the rollover, down towards the hairpin.
So he's only a second behind John Midgley. So look at that. In fact, he's a lot less than a second now.
So this is a real good battle for third spot here, a place on the podium.
So this will be interesting. This is where traffic comes into play. That little set is exactly where Callum Yetch wanted to be. But this drag race is going to be won by the Falcon going down here with the big old Chevy in there. You can see he's opened up quite a nice gap, but watch this as they come around. Look at the gap closing now. That is just sheer German grip, isn't it?
And who's got that drive coming off the corner? Who can get through the traffic too? So after almost 55 minutes of racing and down into the last 5 minutes, suddenly it keeps changing because the track's changing and the weight of the car with the amount of fuel will be changing too. So even the way the car's handling will be changing.
It does. Look, it's quite opposite with the big fuel tankers in the front of that yellow car. And of course, if you take all the weight out of it, they start to understeer a bit more. So you've got to start breaking them into the corner a little bit more. But boy, you'll certainly know that yellow Porsche's there, won't you? You can see him now.
Here we go, Golden Homes North Island Racing Series. The 2 leaders have sorted themselves out. Out in front, it's been Johnny DeVeth in the McLaren and then Matt Whitaker in the Porsche, but now it's all about Midgley in the Ford and Callum Yetch in the Porsche. Little bit of a nudge, slight little way. Here I am, buddy.
There was a nudge.
This is not e-racing. This is not simulation racing. This is the real deal.
And it's a matter, like you said last time, what sort of drive can Callum get out in that Porsche coming out of this corner? That's the secret here, because the Falcon has got that Chev power, it's got much better straight line speed, more torque.
Up and over.
So whether the Porsche can close up again under brakes, which is normally how Callum will do this. Look at that. Look at the gain he made under brakes there.
47 laps gone now. And only about 3 minutes of racing left. So if he's going to make a move, Hedgie's going to have to make a move, and he hasn't hedged his bets. He's going to try and duck down at the hairpin.
That was brave. That gap wasn't really
Oh, he's
there.
almost off the track. A wild ride. Midgley goes out really wide. And in behind them is a muscle car, and that was a Porsche muscling his way into the top 3.
Exactly what I was going to say. Well done. Yeah, that was spectacular. So we'll be able to see the straight line speed of this Mustang too now, won't we, coming out of here?
So I think Midgley said, okay, mate, if you're that keen, away you go.
Yeah, I think he might have thought he might have ended up on the fence if he kept on fighting that one too hard.
So, Callum Yetch, he's one of the pre-race favourites, and he certainly hasn't failed to deliver. Great performance here, top drive. Look at this scrap coming up and over the hill at the end of a 1 hour race, and there's 4 wide, and they all want a piece of the action. Now they're settling down as they go towards Pirelli turn 1. The Mustang has a look. Midgley just consolidating P4 at the moment.
It's interesting, that straight line speed. There's nothing wrong with the straight line pace of that Mustang, is there? It's slightly faster than the old Super Tourer behind it, which is a really good sign for these cars for the future. So at the moment, we've got just to run. We've still got a minute and a half to go, but John DeBeth, of course, is in the lead. Matt Whitaker second, Callum Yetch there third, John Midgley fourth, Andy Duffin fifth, and then Nick Ross. That's shouldn't change too much from now because they've got nicely spaced out.
So the next time John DeBeth goes around, he should virtually get the last lap board. So we're coming down to 1 minute 43 seconds to go.
There he is, still he must be thinking about those. I bet those knees are playing up now. We'll be able to talk to him after this and just see how they're holding up. There's a huge amount of heat and G-forces in that car, of course.
Good to see those boys in the Mazda who recovered, copped the penalty, but still out there racing, which is, you know, one of the great things about the 1 hour race a real good chance to go out there and do your stuff, and if you make a mistake, you've still got a chance to make up for it as well. And get the car back out on track if it's bent or broken or has a slight mechanical issue.
Yeah, certainly the pace of this race has lifted over the last few years. So, a few years ago, if you could do a 1:15 around here, you'd be in the thick of things. Now, 1:15, you're near the back of the field. So, really has lifted the sophistication of the cars is dramatically more than it was.
So, still no sign of the last lap board. So Johnny DeVeth still circulating, still maintaining a good, healthy lead.
Yeah, he's still doing those 104s, so he hasn't backed off from that. It's about a second off, his fastest time of the race, but there's no need to stress it at this stage. He's really got a very, very comfortable lead. In fact, he's actually way ahead of Matt Whitaker. Showing him as a lap here, but that'll cleanse in a minute. But he's a long way in front.
So John DeVeth on target to win the opening race of the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series, followed by Matt Whitaker, 747 in the Porsche, Callum Yetch, 17 in the Porsche, John Midgley in 4th in the Super Tourer, the Ford Falcon, and Andy Duffin and Jason Lefting in the mighty Mazda. So that's your top 5 coming down to the finish of the race.
That's great, isn't it? That's you can see the Andy Duffin car there, as I say, home built basically, or workshop built here in New Zealand, versus all those very, very fast factory cars in front of them there. So great job, isn't it, when you can see somebody can bring something out of their own garage and can run with these guys at the front. So they're showing here 2 laps to go. So probably taking into account the fact that we had some extra time warm-up laps and that's at the beginning. So we've actually just gone over the 1 hour mark.
By this stage, I think after having double knee operation back in July, he'll be saying, okay, I've had the fun.
You can't come fast enough. Not to be lifted out of
bring
the car.
on the last lap board, bring on the champagne, bring on the checkered flag, and then bring on the champagne. Chance to relax.
But Bob Seifright there, out there in his M3 BMW, an older E46, has just set the fastest lap he's done all race. So it just shows you some energy left there. Bob's still pushing hard.
So the last lap board is out now for John DeVeth. Big handy lead over Matt Whitaker. So now he's just going to cruise home to the finish. Is that Steph Chambers?
Yeah, he's got to get past Steph.
So it's good that she's got her car back out.
Yeah, she'll be pleased to finish that, won't she, after a lot of effort she put in to get here. And she's just ducked out of the way, very aware of him coming through, which is good to see. Made that easy for him.
Beautiful looking piece of machinery too, that McLaren 650S, isn't it?
Gee, it's wide, isn't it? Look at the width of that. I mean, how low it is. Incredible, isn't it?
Imagine the amount of power it gets out of those rear wheels and the amount of grip it gets. Very much like that sort of Porsche setup, isn't it?
Yeah, because that's mid-engine, that one. So with their twin-turbo V8. So as I say, it's probably had that boost around with a wee bit, I'd imagine, because they don't have to stick to strictly GT3 races. But here he comes up to the last lap board, and
he's teamed up with Glenn Smith to take the North Island title. Now he's done it by himself. Johnny DeVeth wins the 1 hour race in the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series, even with a couple of busted knees. Too quick in that mighty McLaren, so a great performance by himself and the rest of the team, and quite a big gap all the way back to the 747 Porsche of Matt Whitaker, the outgoing 1 hour champion, as he comes up and over the hill. But he'll be glad to be back out racing again after the COVID-19 lockdown, and just great to be back behind the wheel. Takes second spot, and also coming in behind him for third place will be another Porsche, and that'll be number 17, Callum Yetch, as he flies across that finish line, and the rest of the field will be glad to say it's been great to be back behind the wheel and back motor racing again.
yeah, and that was John Midgley just going past, so he didn't lose. He's managed to hold on to Callum Yetch there, didn't he? And then fifth place, Andy Duffin and Jason Lefting in that RX-7, and Nick Ross in the V8 touring car. That's he is in sixth place. And then we're just talking about Bob Seifright there before, setting the fastest lap of the race there just before for him. I mean, his personal fastest. He's in seventh. And then James Kirkpatrick in that Porsche Cup car is in 8th place. And then Lachlan Fitzgerald Symes is in 9th. Sam Filmer and Andrew Fawcett are in the 10th place to round up that top 10.
And just before the lunch break, before we come back with motor racing with the Ryco 24/7 final showdown to decide their championship for the year and for the weekend. Class A taken out by John DeVeth, Class B taken out by Matt Whitaker, Class 1 taken out by Callum Yetch, so the top 3 are all class winners as well. And in Class GTC, James Kirkpatrick takes out that win. Lachlan Fitzgerald Symes takes out Class 2. So plenty of opportunities for other drivers to celebrate, no doubt, down the rest of the field as well. Adam Jones is going to be out there very soon, and we'll get some reaction, hopefully, from the winning driver.
Look at the mirrors on that McLaren there, aren't they amazing? And the gold wing doors, which always opens mouths when you stop at a gas station, one of those things. Everybody comes crowding around when those doors open up. It's always pretty special.
And will the team from McLaren with Glenn Smith and Chris Vanderdrift be able to do a double act this weekend, take out the 1 hour, and then at 2 o'clock this afternoon we'll find out if he's going to take out the 3 hour with Smith and Vanderdrift from the same team, teaming up for that race in another beautiful McLaren as well. So 1, 2, 3 in the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series. It's great that Golden Homes have got back behind the series after Shane Helms did a lot of racing, of course. So let's go down to Adam Jones and catch up with our man with the big smile on the dial, the eye on the prize. Sees Dave Dovey. Congratulations, and he is the champion, John DeVeth.
Are we ready for the interview?
Well done. Thanks. Well done.
So we've got John DeVeth here, and he's obviously the winner of the first 1 hour race for the North Island Endurance Series. How are you feeling, John?
Oh, a little bit puffed. The legs a little bit. They've had a good workout, so hopefully I can still walk tomorrow. So
how did it feel during the race? You had it sort of lights the flag.
yeah, no, the car's beautiful. Just keep it on the track and don't do anything silly and try and bring it home.
So what do you reckon? Are you going to do the next one?
If Glenn lets me.
All right. Well, enjoy your victory, and hopefully we see you. Hopefully we see you down at the next round, and you're going to go to Canterbury too. You told me.
Yeah, the plan was if I was okay today, we try and go to Ruapuna and give it a go.
So those bionic knees came in.
Yeah, well, the knees are actually all right. It's the muscles around it. Yeah, they need a bit of work.
All right. Well, congratulations. We'll go see Matt Whitaker, who was in second position. So we just got the trophy coming out.
Congratulations, Matt.
Hey, thank you.
Good effort. Second from a wee while out of your car. So
Yeah, no, it's a bit rusty out there, but not too
So talk us through the race, Matt.
bad. The start was good. I got a good little jump, but that McLaren's pretty good under brakes. So I thought there wasn't any point in battling with him. I just let him go, and then Edgel and I sort of had a good tussle, and his car was quick. So it was good to just sort of get him behind him and then see if his tyres lasted. I don't know what happened to his car. So then from then on in, it was pretty plain sailing. I couldn't hook first gear in the pit, so I had to use second to launch, which is probably no good on the gear, but anyway.
So you know how they say it's chocolate fish racing.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a little extra for you.
Oh.
It's better than a chocolate
I
fish.
bet it is.
There you go.
Hey.
You
Thanks,
win.
mate.
You win a prize.
Yeah, awesome. I'll enjoy this. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go find the third place getter, which is Callum Yetch. He's just down here. So Callum.
No. How are you?
Very good. Let's give him his award there.
Right, congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Congratulations, and come back to Pukekohe.
Yeah, we're definitely planning on coming back and just organise everything and make sure we fit it all the time in with school and see if we can make it happen.
So that's the awards are given by Dave Dovey, who's the president of the North Island Endurance Series. We'll get a word with him later on. But Callum, it was a pretty intense race for you.
Yeah, very much so. I spent pretty much every single lap behind a car or passing a car, so didn't really get a chance to rest, but it was lots of good fun and haven't done many long stints in the Porsche yet, so it's good to finally get a few under the belt.
talk us through that overtake to get the third position with John Midgley.
Yeah, Todd was on the radio every lap saying Midgley for position and catching him about half a second every lap, and I just saw a gap, so I just sent it up the inside and then managed to stick it around 3 and managed to get it done down in the hairpin there.
Got pretty busy in that part of the race, yeah?
Yeah, very much so. The safety car, and we had the pit stop, and we sort of come out right at the back of the train and right in the midst of all the carnage. So it's good fun, mate.
So what's next for you?
Well, we were going to send this car over to Melbourne to do a sprint challenge with Sonic, and obviously because of COVID, that's all our plans sort of went down the drain, and we had to bring the car back. So now we're just sort of looking together, trying to get the budget for next year and see what we can do.
Awesome. Well, we'll hopefully see you at the next round, yeah?
Yeah, that's the plan at least, so thank you very much.
All right, well that's a wrap from the 1 hour race, the Golden Homes North Island Endurance Series 1 hour. We'll be there's a quick lunch break, we'll just keep the stream going, and then we'll come back for the 3 hour race, which obviously starts at just after 2, I think it is. It may have changed slightly because we're running a little bit late, but we'll put up the information on screen for you, and we'll see you again soon for the 3 hour race.
Until you turn it on.